Hello everyone, welcome to Australia. Welcome to Australian Book Travels. Welcome to our Christmas cooking preparation, little bits and bobs that we're doing. And welcome to my temporary unfinished kitchen. We do apologise. It is a kitchen that is was meant to be very temporary, but we can talk about that another time. Okay, I'm going to take this off. Just a couple of things that I just want to let you know. We're going to do a couple of cocktails now and a couple of little nibblies to have with the cocktails for Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day. As we go along, I'll suggest to you when to prepare for these things. And also I am going to try to do this in one take. This episode, what I will do, I'm going to make a couple of cocktails for you. We can do that together and make a couple of little nibblies. Then I'm going to cut the camera. I'm going to edit you and upload you for today. I want you to get this today. Then I'm going to keep making a few treats. I'll film it and those will go up as episode 2 on Sunday. So you'll see me in the same clothes. I intend baking for you today all day or most of the day. And yes, I'll cut it so that it's 2 episodes. So let's see if we can at least do this first one in one take. That could be interesting, but I want to do that for you so that we get you prepared for Christmas. If you do enjoy these, if they do work out, look, I have never done this before. I have never filmed and prepared any sort of food. So, and I'm not a big fan of people watching me cook, but we'll just try it. We'll see how it goes. And if you do enjoy it, please let me know in the comments below. Not necessarily whether you enjoy the food or not, but whether you enjoy the episode, because then that will give me an indication as to whether you would like more of these in the future. Perhaps we can do this as a monthly treat, a bit of a cooking show. Okay, let's get on to it. We are going to make a strawberry Scroppino as a cocktail. The other thing I will do, everyone, is I'll probably be a little bit off screen sometimes, but I'll let you know when I'm about to do that, only because I've only got one camera, one microphone, and I cannot show you the whole kitchen without compromising the sound. I'm not even sure how this sound will go. I'll try and work that in the editing. I'll hopefully make it loud enough for you. So I'll go off camera, but I'll let you know what I'm doing. And the other thing is, normally when I'm baking, I would have a dedicated shower cap on. When I'm cooking for anybody else, I do not like cooking with my hair down. So I've put my hair up today. Normally I would have a shower cap, but I just thought that was going to be too much for you because it's not a pretty look, everyone. It's not pretty. Okay, let's do this strawberry Scroppino. And I'm a very approximate cook. So you're meant to have I think it's around about 185 grams of strawberries, but I just put in the whole packet. I just thought, I just do it basically, just a thing. But then we put in a tablespoon and a half, thereabouts, of elderflower cordial. So let's begin. I have to blitz that. I'm going over here. I'm going to blitz it. I've put it over here so that it doesn't affect the sound and your ears don't get blasted. One thing before we do that, I am going to put my glasses in the fridge. I'm just going to do that now. I'll pop off. So we have our glasses in the fridge. I'm going to blitz the strawberries. approximately 185 grams, but I put the whole packet in, and the whole tub, and 1.5 tablespoons of elderflower cordial. Let's do that, everyone. Okay, so we've blitzed that. Now these strawberries I froze overnight. I have everything in the fridge. I'm taking it out as we do it because it is much nicer when these things are really cold, obviously, when you like, especially here in Australia in the summer, we really like to have everything nice and cold. And so there are always last minute, we take things out of the fridge at the last minute. Okay, so sorry everyone. So I'm going to put that back in the fridge until we're ready for the rest of the the cocktail ready. So I'll just put that in the fridge. Now, what I'm also going to do, I'm going to crush some ice blocks. That this recipe does not call for that, but we always like a little bit, to keep everything cold, we like a little bit of ice at the bottom. So I'm just going to do that now. This is a little hand machine because I don't use a lot of electrical stuff. I'm just not a big fan of microwaves and dishwashers and things. And I tend to use a lot of hand beaters, and although I do have the little blitzer, it does make it easier. But this is a little ice crusher that I bought a few years ago in a second-hand shop actually, and it was only a couple of dollars. It has absolutely paid for itself 100 times over. It's brilliant. Gonna keep going, everyone. We're just gonna keep going. Okay. I might just tell you too, it's actually very hot here today. It's early morning and it's warm. I also haven't taken off my ring. Normally when I'm cooking I would take off my ring, but it's so hot, my hands have swollen and I can't get my ring off. So that's another thing I just wanted to tell you. Normally I would not cook with any jewellery, and also I would cook with my hair up. And it's just one of those days. It's a warm day. Okay, that's that done. I'll just pop the rest of these back in the fridge. Okay, here we go. We're going to pop it in a little jug. I'll go and get the glasses. Gosh, they're nice and chilled already. Look at that. These are my favourite glasses. We use them for special occasions. They are Italian, and this is an Italian drink, so I thought I would use the Italian glasses. Now, first thing we do is we pop some ice in the glass. I hope you can all see this. It is a bit of an experiment this, so I do apologise. But we pop a little bit of ice in the glass. Then we pop a little bit of our puree. This is the strawberries with the elderflower. We'll pop that on top like that. Beautiful. And now we have to open the Prosecco. We have to use around about a cup. No. Yes, a cup and a half of Prosecco. So I get my trusty little measuring glass out, a measuring cup. We put Prosecco. Oh, actually, before we do that, what we may do, sorry everyone, we'll pop the Prosecco into a jug, into a bowl. I'll just do a little bit more of that, because what we are about to do, and we have to, this is a brand new vodka, so that's the Prosecco, a cup and a half, and the vodka, oh gosh everyone, this is so typical, isn't it? Can't get everything off. Just a minute, I'll get this off. Oh gosh everyone, this is going to be a bit of a problem. Oh, here we go. Okay, we've Get that little bit of rubbish off. That there. Right, vodka. You can put as much as you... Okay, all right everyone. This is all new or fresh. I've had it chilling. Everything has been chilling in the fridge. About a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of vodka. 1, 2, that'll do. I'm very approximate. I never measure, absolutely. I'll pop a little, I will pop, well, for now I'll just pop a little cover on that Prosecco. That's the Prosecco and the vodka. So, 1.5 cups of Prosecco, a couple of tablespoons of vodka in the bowl, and then we have to get, the recipe calls for lemon sorbet. Now this recipe is in the Australian Women's Weekly Christmas cookbook for this year. I will show you that probably around here somewhere. I'll show you the cover. But I have just changed it a little bit. I'm just very approximate with everything that I do. So it calls for lemon sorbet, which is really guilt-free. It's hardly any calories. But I'm using ice cream. Now, normally, particularly at Christmas and in the summer here, I make my own ice cream. We could perhaps do that. If you're interested, we can do that in another episode. If you're not, that's fine. For today's purposes, I have bought ice cream. Ice cream does have more calories, but you can use either sorbet or ice cream. It doesn't matter. But I will go and get the ice cream from the fridge. Actually, I should really say freezer, shouldn't I? Now, I'm not going to show the brand of the ice cream because I'm not advocating for any brand, mind you. I'm not advocating for any brand on here. It's just what I've bought from the supermarket. So, now, the recipe now calls for 6 cups of ice cream. I don't know how successful we're going to be with this. This could be a real disaster, but I'm just, for the purposes of this, I'm just going to put in a couple of cups. Sorry everyone, I should have perhaps defrosted this a little bit. I beg your pardon, it's going to take me forever, isn't it? Let's take that off. Okay. So, yes, I hope you're all having a better time or a good time preparing for your Christmas and that you have got all your Christmas shopping done. We have, thankfully, but of course food we usually buy at the last minute so that it's fresh. I think this year in Australia we're having a problem with one of the supermarkets. The large supermarkets, they're having a strike with their shelf or their stockers, I think. So there's a strike on. So now that's 1/2 cup. So we'll pop that in. I'm just going to do a couple of cups just for the purposes of this. And it is a heavy. I just dropped that on the floor, everyone. I'm sure that won't melt for a little while. But anyway, so I'll pick that up in a minute, and I think I'll just put a cup in here for now because otherwise I will keep you on the channel too long. So here we go. So that's a cup. Maybe I'll put a little bit more in because it might, it may not just look as good. Now you are meant to put 6 cups in of lemon sorbet, but I honestly, 6 cups seems a lot to me. When I've made this recipe, I have not put 6 cups of anything in it. So, and I've just found it to be just as beautiful. Right, let's leave that. I'll pop that back in the freezer. Now, what we have to do is blitz that. I've just got a bucket here. I always put a bucket in to save water. So sorry everyone, you had it sitting here and probably looked really ugly. But I always put a bucket in the sink so that we save water. Okay, I'm going to blitz this. Let's have a look at this. I'll just use a little scoop, a little cup, and so that's the Prosecco, the vodka, being poured over our strawberry puree and ice. Now you can decorate that with a little bit of, I'll just pop that there. You can decorate that with perhaps a little strawberry. These ones have been, just pop something like that, they have been frozen, as were the strawberries before. And there is your Scroppino. You can put more strawberry puree in, you can put less, but let's have a look. Yeah, that's lovely, everyone. That is really nice. Okay, I'm going to cut the camera. Actually, I've just realised that I probably do need to edit this. I'll cut the camera, clean this up, and then we'll do the next cocktail. And of course, I forgot to put this in the jug. You could put the sorbet or ice cream and the Prosecco and vodka in the jug and pour it. But of course, I've forgotten to do that. See, I'm trying to think ahead and I'm not thinking. So I'll cut the camera now and I'll clean up and then we'll go on to the next cocktail. Okay, everyone, I'm so sorry. We are going to have to edit this because I'm on my own. I have one camera. I don't have a crew behind me. I'm not a chef, and I'm really, I'm worried that I'm taking up too much time cleaning things up and preparing things. So we will have to edit, and I do apologise. Okay, the next cocktail is Campari orange and soda water. Before you make this, make sure that your oranges, if you're doing fresh orange juice, you don't have to. I'm doing fresh orange juice because we have lots of oranges on our trees. I just threw a few oranges in the fridge last night, and Campari and the soda water should be in the fridge so that it's all nicely chilled. Instead of Campari, I'm using Aperol. It is a lighter, less alcohol in Aperol. You choose what you will. Campari or Aperol, it's the same. It's an aperitif. This is just less alcohol. It's lighter, sweeter than Campari. So I'm using this. I cleaned out just quickly rinsed out from our Prosecco, the jug. So what I'm going to do, we'll just put a couple of ice. We'll just put a couple of ice blocks in here. It's actually not a bad idea, although I haven't done it for the channel, for this today. It is not a bad idea to put your jug in the freezer as well, just for a few minutes. And I will just quickly pop this glass in the freezer just to give it a bit of a chill. But of course, in the meantime, we will just pop that. Now, the recipe calls for a cup of Campari or Aperol, 3 cups of orange juice, and what was the other thing? Oh, and a couple of cups of soda water. I'm going to tone that down a bit. I've just quickly squeezed a cup of orange juice. So let's take that down. Okay, so say a third of a cup of Aperol. I'm just trying to cut down the ingredients in ratio to the rest of the ingredients. But we'll just do, I don't know, this is half a cup, but we'll just do a third of a cup of Aperol. 1 cup of freshly squeezed, this is from our garden, freshly squeezed orange juice. We'll just do that. And I will go in from the fridge, just get the soda water. Right, so there's the soda water, 2 cups. I think I'm going to have to leave that in and not put it in as an outtake, as a what do they call it? A blooper. Okay, so if we have 2 cups, I don't know, let's say 3/4 of a cup of soda water, just basic. Give that a little bit of a stir. I'm wet now, absolutely soaking. Okay, give that a little bit of a stir. Let's get our cup and see how that tastes. Okay, that's been in the freezer. You can see that's lovely and cold. Let's see how that is. Okay. Now this is less alcoholic, of course. The Aperol doesn't have much alcohol. It does have alcohol. It is alcoholic, but it's not much. Soda water and the orange juice. Let's see. Really, that's just like a heavier orange juice, really. But it's festive, as is the Scroppino. You could put any fruit in the Scroppino. You don't have to do strawberries, but they are very festive looking in the glass, as you could see, and so is that. You could pop a little strawberry on, another little strawberry, and that's quite festive. So that's our cocktail. Now we'll get on to doing and making our little hors d'oeuvres. Let's see, I'll just turn you off and then I'll come back to you. Okay, I've tidied up from the cocktails. We can go over those again a little later if you wish. But now things are going to get a little bit messy. So I'm going to move this pot so that hopefully you can see a little better. I'll just pop him there. And our salts and peppers. Okay, I just didn't want you coming back to the screen seeing everything missing, but hopefully you'll be able to see. Now, this is our crackers recipe. I'm just going to pop this on here for a minute because then I can wipe my hands. I've had to roll up my sleeves considering I was saturated with soda water. Okay, here we go. Now these are our crackers. They are like the best way I can describe them is a savory shortbread. And we do have to work in a very strange way with this, so bear with me. Now, this comes from a recipe again in the Women's Weekly cookbook, but I have changed fractionally. I've just changed it one little ingredient, and I'll tell you why. So first off, we have a 1.5 cups of plain flour sieved. Make sure you sieve it. We have around about 150 grams of butter chopped. Pop it in. Now, for those of you and you enjoy your electronic devices, I would blitz that until it's breadcrumbs. But we are going to get our hands involved here. Now, Mark and I are the only ones who will be eating these, so don't worry about my hands being in here. And whether I did wash my hands beforehand, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So we do that until it's like breadcrumbs. I will do that a little later. I'll continue a little bit now, but I have actually prepared some earlier so that it made this process a bit quicker. So we get this like breadcrumbs. This is going to take a little while, everyone. I've left my Aperol orange and soda water just sitting there because it's not that alcoholic, so I thought I could have a little tipple this morning, or have it as a drink this morning whilst I'm talking to you. It is meant to be, we are meant to be getting into the Christmas spirit now. It is December, it's exciting. Okay, so now what we can do, now don't worry, this is my kitchen and it's okay, but I've crushed some peppercorns. We're going to put some peppercorns in there. Now you can put chili. You could put chili flakes. You could put cumin. You could put any sort of herb or spice that you like. You could put a little bit of turmeric. Do be careful with turmeric because it does stain. But you could put any herb or spice in here. You could put rosemary. you can do anything. You could put anything in here. But this has to look like breadcrumbs, everyone. So you know how to do that, I'm presuming. But if you don't, you just squash the butter, the very cold butter. It's cut up into pieces, and we just pummel it together, really. You blitz it through your fingers. Mix the flour with the butter until it resembles breadcrumbs. So shake your bowl to bring the larger butter to the top, and then you'll know how far you have to go. So we just do that. Now, sorry everyone, I should have done this earlier, shouldn't I? But I guess it's all part of the presentation. I have tried to do a couple of little things early on, but the cocktails took me by surprise. I wasn't quite ready for all of that, and so I did have to do a bit of editing there. I will have to. Okay, so let's crush this butter up. Now the recipe tells you to crush the butter up blitz the butter with the flour to look like breadcrumbs. So you do that in your food processor. I do it by hand. We'll just, and then you add the cheeses, which we will do in a minute. But I have found that the consistency is not good for what we are going to do with the rest of this recipe. So I'm going to add something else to it. Anyway, before we do that, let's get this looking like breadcrumbs. I hope it can look like breadcrumbs. It does get messy. So my suggestion is that you bake these the day before you want them. They will last a week in a biscuit tin, around about a week. So, if you prepare them the day before, you should be right. Let's see, that's not really looking like breadcrumbs. Let's get that happening a little bit more. Okay, I think we've got it relatively to breadcrumbs. You're not going to get it quite, and it is, now it's hot here. It's warming up. It is now 10:30. Oh no, that's a bit ahead. So it's about 10 past 10 in the morning. It's warming up and the butter is melting in my hands. So we'll just leave that. Now, half a cup of Parmesan. There we go. Half a cup of Parmesan and a cup of cheddar. This has been in the fridge already pre-grated so that you didn't have to wait. And we just mix that in together. Now, the consistency of this in the past has not allowed me, it's going to this time, isn't it? It's usually what I do is I add a dribble of water to keep it together. Because when I've made it a few times in the past, it doesn't stick together like that. It just breaks down. So I add a little bit of water just to keep it together. But today, because it is so hot, it's going to stick together, of course. Now, cut that in half. You've got 2 lots here. What we want to do, see, that's sticking beautifully. Now, that hasn't in the past, so at least something's going right for this episode. Roll this out to, oh no, it is going to break up, I think. Just play with this. Sometimes if it doesn't stick together, they ask you to roll it out to 6 inches. Now, in the past, I haven't been able to do that because as you roll it, it breaks apart. So what I usually do is just pummel it really, and hang on, I'll just get all that. So you pummel it a little bit into approximately 6 inches. What's that? That's about 6 inches, and just gently, see, it is falling apart a little bit there, but there you go. So we have it in 2 little sausages. We'll just do that like this. Sorry everyone, I'm feeling a little bit nervous because I am in my temporary kitchen and I feel a bit vulnerable. And also, I've never ever filmed myself baking before, so you know, normally I like this as a really calming process. It's cathartic for me, and I take my time, and I'm, you know, but I'm very wary that this is your time and we are filming. Okay, so now we have, let's pop those away. Now we have 2 little sausages, oh, you know, fat sausages, like that, okay? Now I'm just going to wash my hands. A bucket of water. We do try and conserve water here. What we do is we have a bucket in the sink, in each of the sinks, and then when they're partially full, we pop them out on the garden, on the trees. Now what I did a little bit earlier, I have here a tray with sesame seeds and nigella seeds. The recipe does call for that, but you could use poppy seeds. You could use crushed sunflower seeds. You could use crushed walnuts. It's up to you, whatever you want to use, but this recipe calls for these seeds. Now what we do is, we grab this up, it is breaking apart, but we try not to handle the butter, the shortbread, effectively it's shortbread, as little as possible, because it will keep melting. Now, we roll each of these rolls into the into the sesame seeds. Try and get as much as you can on that. Now this will break apart, don't panic. It will break apart. Just try and pop it together. Just pinch it together. It'll be okay. Don't panic. Obviously, the longer you make it, the worse it gets. So do try to keep it, you know, within that 6 inches that they call for. Okay, I think that's done. So we have that one sitting there. And then we have this one. As you can see, it makes quite a mess on the board. And we're going to put this in the nigella seeds. Again, we just don't panic if it falls apart. It's okay. You know, none of us are chefs. Well, I don't think any of you are, but I'm certainly not. And, you know, I really get disillusioned sometimes when you see recipes and the photos look absolutely stunning, and the outcome of my baking doesn't always look like that. But sometimes that's a little bit of experience as well. I've noticed that over the years, things do look a bit, the outcome of my baking does look a little bit closer to the photos. Sometimes, you know, we have to realize that sometimes, all the time in these cookbooks, they are set up, you know, they've had heaps of time to set them up and make them look beautiful. They have professional photographers. The food is cold often, you know, because they do take their time to make it all look pretty for the camera. But the reality is, we often work in timelines. We are pushed for time, and it can make us feel really inadequate sometimes if you take those cookbooks too seriously. Don't. Food is about enjoyment. And like I said to you, really, this is quite nerve-wracking for me, because I use my cooking and my baking as a cathartic thing. I take my time. Nobody's watching me. I just do what I do. And it's calm, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It really is. But, and it should be. Cooking and baking should be a pleasure for you. Don't make it into something that you don't enjoy. Okay, now what I do now, I leave it like that. I'll just wash my hands. And what we do, everyone, is we cover that with our Glad wrap, or our plastic wrap. This is part plant-based, this one. We try to be as environmentally friendly as we can. And of course, as you all know, we're vegetarian as well. So we don't, so we cook in a different way, and we try not to use gelatin and you know, things like that. So, but yeah, where we can with our wraps and things like that, we try to be as environmentally as possible. Now, and as environmentally friendly as possible. Now those two will now go in the fridge, and there's a reason for that. I will tell you that in a second. What I did earlier is I prepared two and brought them out. Put them in the fridge to bring them out now. So that's what I will do. I'll put these in the fridge. And to be honest with you, actually, these look and feel better than what it did this morning. Probably because the butter has melted a little bit and it's stuck the flour together. So these have actually turned out better. Okay, I'm going to put these in the fridge. So these are the two I did earlier. They don't look as good, to be honest with you. Let's pop that away. We'll pop that away. Now, these are rock solid. I can't actually get them off the thing. They are rock solid. And what we need to do now, I just leave them on this tray. I'm going to turn the oven on to 180 degrees. Do that now. That's 180 degrees. Now I'm going to get a very, very sharp knife, and I am going to cut these as I would like to see them as a biscuit. Now remember, in the oven, these are going to shrink. So you want them as round as possible, but they will shrink. So the ones I made even just the other day, they turned out to be very, very, very little. They were bite-sized, but I had them thinner and longer. I was trying to mess around with the recipe and work to see what works and what doesn't. So I determined that it is actually better to have these logs shorter and to have more substance, to have them rounder and, you know, the dimensions bigger. So I'm going to cut these into, I don't know, what does that look like? 1/4 inch or something? I don't know, whatever. Oh, now that's already broken up. So, okay, let's work quickly. I'm chatting too much and it will probably, in this heat, they're going to melt very quickly. What we really want to do, the reason why we want them this rock solid is because they are going in an oven and they are literally just made of butter, really. I mean, the majority of it is butter and cheese, which is going to melt. So when we have them quite almost frozen, they're going to be in the oven for around about 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes 25, depending on how it all turns out, how it all really works, and how well the oven's doing and how thick they are. So maybe 20-25 minutes, although the recipe in the Australian Women's Weekly does say 15, but I have never known them to just be 15. They're usually a little bit longer. But you determine that, so long as they're not turning brown, because what will happen is when you take them out of the oven, they still, they harden, so they'll still sort of cook whilst they're on the tray. So we place those on the tray like this as quickly as possible. Don't mess around with them. As I say, they will melt and you don't want them melting, especially in this heat. It is probably it's feeling close to 30 degrees. We are having 40 to 45 degrees this coming next week, I think Sunday and Monday. Today is Friday, so just cut that off. So we're looking for a hot time, and you can feel it building these last couple of days, and it is warm. As I say, it is quite warm now. So there we go. There's our sesame seed and our nigella seeds. You could do walnuts, you could do crushed sunflower seeds. Let's put that in the oven. That will take around about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm off camera on the stove. So let me just wipe this down, and the next thing we will do I'll just have to cut the camera again, and I'll have to go through it. There's a little bit more cooking with this one. And there's a little bit of cheating as well. So we can, I'll let you know. Okay, I'm going to cut the camera, tidy this up, and we'll get prepared for the next lot of nibblies. Okay, everyone, whilst I was cleaning up and preparing for the next dish, our biscuits were ready. They've just come out of the oven. There's seeds everywhere, but here is what they look like. I will show you at the end of the video. We'll do a close-up of them, but they will harden off a little bit as we go. As you can see, they're quite a good substantial biscuit. You can make them as thin as you like. Remember, you will have to adjust your timing in the oven if they are any thinner or smaller. Just play around with that. You know, have fun. Don't make it so serious. But for Christmas, I would do it before you're ready to use them for Christmas, so that you become familiar. Never ever, I have learnt my lesson over the years, never ever start a new recipe on a day that you are using it for guests. It's okay if you experiment on yourself, and oftentimes during the year I experiment on Mark and myself, and if it turns out, or if we think we need to change things, we do, before we then use it for guests at another time. So I'm constantly, very, very rarely, we do, but very, very rarely do we eat the same thing each week or each day, because I am constantly changing our menu so that I can become familiar with other recipes. If we like it, we then put that in the memory bank and think, oh, well, we will use that for guests, or Christmas, or use it for Easter. You know, so it goes into the memory bank. Yes, we like that, we'll use that again. So I'm constantly, as I say, we do, but it's very rare that we eat the same thing each day or each week, because I like to experiment and I like to become familiar. I like to get the feel for the dough or feel for the meal, or particularly the baking, so that, and I use my hands, I don't use processors and electric equipment, so I like to get the feel. Does that feel like it did last time? Sorry everyone, that's the goose. He can hear me talking and he's standing right outside the window. Yes, I like to get the feel for the food. That's one thing. When you are, this is a personal opinion, I use as little electronic equipment as possible, and I won't name all of those products and things, but you know, even a cake mix, I would prefer to do by hand. I use a little old-fashioned rotary hand, or I use a hand mixer, or I use a fork or a knife, depending on what the recipe really needs, because I like to get the feel for it. Does that feel right? Does it feel the same as it did last time when it was successful? I just think we've lost our connection with food, and to be able, I know some of us can't do that, but if you are lucky enough to be able to grow your own food and know where it comes from, where it's sourced, and then you bake it and cook it yourself, it is so much better. You know what's going into the food, you know how it's cooked, you know how, that whole process to me is just beautiful. It's a really family and human nature connection. I love that. That's why I love cooking, because I love growing our own food, and I love cooking and baking our own food, because then I know where it comes from. I mean, things like chocolate, of course, you have to buy that. I'm not capable enough to make my own chocolate, but I buy, cooking chocolate, and then I will cook our own or bake our own sweets and things, and lollies or sweets. the closer you can get to your food, the better. And that's why I use my hands. That's how it's always been done. We use a mortar and pestle. I use hand beaters. I personally, I just love that process. And you then know how the food evolves. Anyway, let's not go too much into that. There are our biscuits. I will do a close-up for you later on. Let's put them over here with my finished glass of Scroppino. You're probably all in shock horror. And I've the Campari or Aperol and orange and soda water is really more, Mark had a sip of it earlier and he said, yes, it's more like an orange juice really. And I guess what you can do, like anything, you can change that up. If you want it more alcoholic, I would use the Campari, and you could perhaps put a bit more Campari in compared to the orange juice. But yeah, you can change these things up to what suits you. Okay, everyone, I'm actually cleaning this whilst I'm talking to you. I'll just put this in the bucket of water, and that will go out on the garden later on. That's another thing we do. We really try to compost. We usually have a compost bin, but I didn't want it sitting on the bench in case it turned you all off. But yes, we have a compost bin, and we put everything in the compost, every little skerrick and scrap, even paper, all sorts of things we put in our compost bin. Now, let's get on to this, enough chatting, and let's get on to this next dish. This is halloumi and lime sort of little cups. I've prepared some of the things for you, but we will go over. I filmed a couple of the things that I will show you through this video that I prepared for this dish so that you weren't held up. So what we do is eggplant, one eggplant, peeled, chopped up into little cubes because it's quicker to cook. Drizzle, put that in a baking dish, drizzle olive oil over it, put in your cumin and your coriander, again, cumin, coriander, again, I use mortar and pestle, I crunch that all up and I throw it on the dish. You can use as much as you like. It's, you know, a teaspoon and a half, depending on what you like and where you like it. You could even use rosemary if you really want to, or any sort of herb like that. But we use cumin and coriander, and the original recipe calls for that. We crush those up. You can use as much as you like depending on your taste buds or those taste buds of your guests. We pop that in the dish, olive oil, pop it in the oven at around about 200 degrees for 20 minutes. You are meant to cover it up. I don't cover it up, but you are meant to cover it up. You bake it in the oven, 200 degrees. After 20 minutes or so, you take the cover off and you bake it for another 10 minutes. Now, what you will now see is me also on the stove with a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of water. We'll just go to that now. And so we heat that up until the sugar dissolves, and we pop that in with the halloumi. In with the eggplant. This is an eggplant and halloumi cup. I beg your pardon, I don't think I said that originally. I'll just get that out of the oven now to show you what it looks like. This is in one of my old pans. It just looks a little bit messy. I've kept it warm in the oven. This is the eggplant with the sugar and the water syrup then poured into the eggplant and lemon, and then I've chopped up some parsley and popped that in there also. Now, what I've also done, usually I would make my own pastry, whether it's short crust or puff pastry. It is time consuming, so I've cheated and I have used pre-packaged from the supermarket sheets of, that was a motorbike going past, sheets of puff pastry. I have used a glass to cut out the circles and done that like so. Now I did this a little earlier in a shallower, this is in a shallow, very shallow tray, almost like a little pancake tray. These puff pastry, now when you must blind bake the puff pastry, you really should put baking beads down. I don't, I'm too lazy, to be honest, I'm just lazy. So I just crush those. I'm going to put these in the oven now. We must blind bake them. So I've pre-baked these, but we're going to do these now. I thought I would do this for you so that we skip some of those processes so that it's quicker. Okay, so some of these have, because I've been lazy, some of them have puffed up and they've probably been in there a little bit too long. Now we'll grab a little spoon and we will pop this is warm, so be careful when you touch your pan. We just pop a little bit in to our little cups, just a little bit. We don't, a little bit more than that. That was probably a little bit, not enough there. So we have lime juice in this as well, everyone. You can use lime or lemon juice to cook with your halloumi, with your eggplant. I keep saying halloumi, the halloumi is coming, but the eggplant, we pop in a little bit of lime juice as well. You could do anything in here. You could do, again, to make it Christmassy, you could do walnuts. You could put in walnuts or crushed walnuts. Even a few cranberries you could put in. So that's that. Now, what we do have is the halloumi, which I filmed for you, and we can just cut to that now. So that's the halloumi. We've had halloumi and what else have I put in there? Lime juice, and you could put, if you wanted to, you could put curry. Oh, everyone, I'm not thinking. You could put chili flakes in. You could do whatever you like. Now, we now have the halloumi, and we will pop one of those on top. You just cut them into little cubes and fry them. The recipe does call for grilling, but frying, grilling, you know, it's whatever suits you. So whatever takes your fancy, everyone. That's probably a little bit big. We just pop those on top and get the good looking ones. We leave the not so good looking ones and we eat them later, or we give the dogs or the pig a treat, because we do have a pet pig and she loves her little treats so long as they are pig friendly. So there are our little dishes, and what we do now is we grab a lime. Again, we are lucky enough to have these from our tree. Actually, no, what I may do, everyone, I was going to peel that, but what I may do is just use a little knife. I'll just wash that. And what we'll do is just, actually I might just cut that and then just pop a little bit of lime on the top. Very, very thin, everyone, very thin. We don't want huge chunks of lime. You could use lemon as well, but we don't want huge chunks of lime on the dish. But we do want a little bit of lemon rind. So we want them very, very thin, really paper thin, and you just pop them on the top. Just really thin, she says. And then just pop them back in the oven for a little bit, just so that that pastry... Oh, one without halloumi. Well, that's all right. That's not a bad thing. We'll just do it really, really thin. So you pop it like that, pop it back in the oven for just a minute or two, and they are your, in actual fact, the pastries cook so well and everything is pre-cooked, and all we want to do is just reheat it really. But let's try that. Let's see what that tastes like with a little bit of lemon on top and a little bit of our Aperol orange and soda water. Right, let's try it. That is, with the lemon, with the lime on it as well. Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. That's probably the best I've made, and yet I overdid the pastry. Oh my goodness, everyone, that is absolutely beautiful. I recommend that. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but maybe just over bake the pastry a little bit, because that's quicker. And yeah, no, that's really, really lovely. And what I did with this recipe, I added lemon and lime in the dishes, so with the halloumi. Okay, let's go over that again, because we are at the end of our video. So the puff pastry, very quick and easy, cheats way. Go and get your sheets of puff pastry. Use a glass to make it bigger, because the pastry will shrink. Remember that, it will shrink. So make it as bigger than your little dish, and then pop those in and blind bake them. Whilst you're doing that, you can be beforehand bake your eggplant with your cumin and your coriander and your olive oil and a little squeeze of lemon and lime. Pop that in the oven for all up 30 minutes, 20 with the cover, 10 without. Whilst that's doing, you can be doing your halloumi. Chop up your halloumi into little cubes that you're going to have on your hors d'oeuvre, and then pop in some olive oil, some lime juice, and if you wanted to, some some chili flakes, or you could put rosemary, whatever. Have a play with it, enjoy it, and whatever you think will work for your guests. You could do anything on this, but I do recommend with this one, definitely pop not just your lemon rind, but a little bit of the lime rind, but also a little bit of the lime flesh, because that was scrumptious. That is really lovely. So that's that, everyone. We have your Campari or your Aperol and orange juice soda water. We have the beautiful Scroppino. I will give you all of the recipes in the description box below. And of course we have our biscuits. Now these biscuits, they're cheese obviously. You could put chili in them, all sorts of things. But the biscuits are lovely with grape. And may I recommend to you, we also have our own honey, but if you do buy honey, I strongly recommend that you buy honey from your local beekeeper, because it's less processed and it's just more pure, and also it's local to your area. Not just to buy local, but it's local to the flora and the flora in the area. So you will get the taste of the honey is from your direct area. If you can do that. I know not everybody can, but if you can, or if you go visiting somewhere and you can buy a lovely pot of honey from a local beekeeper, that is the best. These biscuits are beautiful with a dollop of honey on the top, and then you pop a grape or so. They're absolutely divine. That you will thank me. You will not curse me. I can tell you, they are absolutely beautiful. These are delicious, and so too are the two cocktails. I'll give you the details in the description box below. I'm going now to upload this for you today. I hope it all works out. I know there's going to be a lot of editing, and for that I apologize. But that's the way it is with cooking. I'm doing this on my own. I don't have a team. I don't have a crew behind me. I'm trying to clean up and do things all at the same time, so there will be errors even in this even with the editing. If you have enjoyed this, please do like, share and subscribe. And I will see you on Sunday for the next part of our chocolate treats to either give away as gifts or to use on Christmas Day or Boxing Day or Christmas Eve. I will see you then, everyone. Take care. Bye for now.